Previous guest writes our first question. You have our envelope, so I'll let you run with it.
All right. It says, what is one core belief you have that will stay with you that you gained from service? For me, it would be dedication. Because even after I was injured and I had the opportunity to retire and get out and do all that stuff, I knew from the time I was a kid I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to do at least 20 years. So that goal never changed. And I stayed dedicated to that, to my family. And it's just, that's been one of the core things that's helped guide me on the transition from retirement to where I am now.
We're going to get into your injury, but the aspect of continuing to serve, did you get the opportunity to consider staying in after you were injured, or was there no option for it?
Yes. When I was injured at 12 years, just at 12 years. And I did get the opportunity to stay in, and I did. And I stayed in and I retired at 21 years.
Let's take you back to the beginning then. So as a young boy, where's hometown? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in Arkansas called Dermott, Arkansas, southeast Arkansas. My dad was a Marine. So from the time that I was a child, that's literally the only thing I've ever wanted to do in life. So, I was focused on that from an early age.
Was he active while you were a kid growing up?
When I was very, very young, yes.
How long after, or how old were you when he got out?
I think I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And there was this picture that was always in my mom's house, my dad in his dress blues uniform. So every time I would see that, that was just a reminder, like, that's your path right there.
Were you born, in the sense of, were you born on base, or were they already?
No. I was born in Arkansas.
Okay.
When I was born, my dad was 16 and my mom was 15. So they were both very, very young. And when my dad turned 17, he joined the military, joined the Marines. So I was still pretty young, but I always had that picture from his service.
Did your mom and dad grow up in Arkansas also?
Yes.
Do you have a big family, immediate family, brothers, sisters?
I have one brother. He passed away about 2 years ago. And I have 2 sisters, younger also.
As a young kid growing up, you said that the Marine Corps was already on your radar.
Always. I never wanted to do anything else.
Did it come from your dad or something else?
It came from my dad, and it's just all the fascination and constant questions I used to just hit him with. I was like Geraldo Rivera with the questions about the Marine Corps, my dad. And he would only give me the I don't want to say the worst, but he would tell me like, hey, that uniform looks nice, but you got to earn that. That's like 3 months away from your family and you're getting yelled at all the time. Like he would just give me the real deal on what was going on.
Do you think he was trying to discourage you, or?
No, I don't. I feel like he was trying to get me to come to that decision myself. And I'll give you an example of that. So my brother, later on when he got ready to graduate high school, he decided he wanted to join the military. To me, there was no conversation. Dad was a Marine. My brother active duty Marine. I'm going to join the Marine. And he contacted me, and he was basically trying to get me to tell him that he should join the Marine Corps. And I could not do that. Like, I'm not going to tell you to do it. Like, you have to make that decision on your own. And that's when I realized what my dad was doing. Like, he wanted me to come to that on my own because the Marine Corps, it isn't for everybody. The military isn't for everybody, but the Marine Corps is just a different type of beast. Not in a bad way at all. It's just different.
How much older is your older brother, or was your older brother?
No, I'm the oldest.
The oldest, sorry.
He's the youngest. Well, he's younger than me. He 3 years younger than me, so he'd have been 47.
Now, your dad, did he talk negatively about the Marine Corps, or was there ever an option of him doing a career or that aspect?
No, my dad didn't want to didn't want to have a career in the Marines. He did his 4 years. He got out. He worked for like Ford Motor Company for a while. He had great careers and jobs. He was a cop for a while. He did a lot of things. And so I don't think it was a thing where he was trying to discourage me from joining. He just wanted me to see, like, it's kind of like when you go to the VA and they ask you, like, what's your problem? And you're like, no, I feel fine. But tell me what it is, like, at the worst, this is what things are going to be. And I feel like that's what he was doing. So I could go in knowing everything that's,
What took up your time as a kid? Were you into sports, or what was daily life like for you?
No, I grew up in like a rural community. So, fishing, crawfishing, just like kid stuff. The kids in the South do, we go rabbit hunting, just always outside. We had a lake in the town that we grew up. We'd go and swim, just always outside, drinking out of the water hose, that generation.
What year did you graduate high school?
94.
And immediately, were you already signed up by the time you graduated?
Yep.
Did the delayed entry, that aspect?
Yes, I did that for a year. And I was 17 when I graduated high school because my birthday is in August. And I was slated to go to boot camp August. And I did. I went that August, turned 18. Literally 2 days later, I was on a flight to San Diego. And the absolute best decision, that I've ever made. And I didn't realize that until I graduated. Because once I got there, reality kicked in. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? My dad was right.
What was the biggest, like, shock moment for you as far as, because I would imagine if you knew from a little kid that this is what you wanted to do, were you into like reading about it and researching it?
No. For me, it was, I'll tell you what the biggest thing was for me. So, I grew up in Southeast Arkansas, ruled by women. Women, disciplinary-wise, that came from women in my family. So I'd never been yelled at by any man or anything like that. So this is all like a culture shock. My dad had never even yelled at me, ever, from the earliest I can remember up until the time he passed away. Never. So for me, that was just like what is going on right now, And
why is everybody yelling?
Yeah, and it's only like 3 or 4 of them, and it's like 80 of us. And you're like, oh, I'll be fine. I just stay quiet. No. Everybody's gonna get it.
When you went in, what did you go in to do? What was your MOS?
Infantry. That's what I knew I wanted to do, and still to this day, I have no regrets about it at all. Anything
major happened during boot camp out of the, not necessarily out of the norm, but that really kind of sticks out to you, or was it just kind of boot camp?
I'm going to tell you one thing that happened, and it's kind of stupid, and I don't think I've never talked about this, but I still think about it a lot, and it's something so stupid, but I remember this, we were on a rifle race, so it's like the second phase of boot camp, and we're at Camp Pendleton now, and I'm down in what they call the butts. This is the area where the rounds impact. And you're down there pulling targets down. And the way you can tell when it impacts, you're just looking at the dirt in front of you. So when you hear the round fly over your head, then when the dirt impacts, you pull the target down, check it, mark, and put it back up. Well, the whole carriage was like broken, the target carriage. And we were just struggling to try to keep that thing going. And I remember my drill instructor just poured into me, just thrashed me for probably 3 minutes or whatever it was. But for me, that was something completely out of my control. And, but that taught me a lesson also, just because something isn't within your control don't necessarily mean that somebody's got to answer for it at the end of the day. And that was a lesson that I took from that. But that, as small as that is, that's always stuck with me.
Outside the shock of having men yelling at you, was there a point during boot camp where you kind of had, I know you said you wanted to be a Marine your entire time growing up as a kid. It had to be a little bit of a culture shock, though, for you to get into boot camp and make that transition from civilian. But do you remember a point where you kind of went, no, the switch flipped, so to speak, and you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I want to do?
Oh yeah, even through everything I was going through there, like I knew, for me, I'm like, failure is not an option. Like I'm here, I'm going to do this. And that was it. So I never had any other mindset or, as far as completing what I started. So, yeah.
Did you get stationed at Pendleton or 29 Palms?
My first duty station was at Camp Pendleton. I've never been stationed in 29 Palms.
There's a moment in life when you realize it was never about you. Grind, spelled GRND, is different. There's no I in it on purpose, because the mindset was never about ego. It's about the mission. Started by a former Army Ranger, it's not about where you are. It's about how you show up. Different lives, different pressures, but the same mindset. Grind isn't clothing you wear just to look good. It's a reminder of why you keep going when it gets tough, and you keep putting in the work when no one's watching. For the early mornings, the late nights, the reps that no one sees. This isn't just fashion, it's fuel. Because real work isn't loud, real effort doesn't need applause, and real purpose doesn't quit. Head on over to thegrndcollective.com and use the promo code TRANSITION15 for 15% off your order.
I've actively avoided 29 pounds my entire active duty career as far as being stationed there. Now, I've done plenty of training there, and I'm okay with that. I'll go there and I'll suffer for 30 days, and then I'm getting out of there. So, yeah. My first duty station was Camp Pendleton. And that was, just young Marine, partying in Tijuana all the time, and then we do our deployment, and we go to Okinawa, Korea, and a couple other places. And it was just like, man, I'm from Arkansas, and I'm in Japan and all these different places. I love it. Loved it then, and even the thought of it now brings me joy.
Now, going in 94, you were kind of right in between, because the first Gulf Wars had already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously 9/11 hadn't happened yet. But even in that first enlistment, you were already committed, that nothing changed in your mind. Like, I'm doing a career.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. I knew that I wanted to do at least 20 years. And I've never, ever faltered from that. I had guys that, especially my first enlistment as a young Marine, you have young, and it's not just the Marine Corps, but you have young soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine around you, and they'll just talk disparagingly about the service and the stuff that they've dealt with, and even hearing all that, I was like, well, I'm still staying there, and I'm still going to re-enlist, and that's exactly what I did.
Prior to 9/11, anything unique or significant happen that's noteworthy, or kind of 9/11 the real big change for you?
No, for us, 100% 9/11 was the change. That was a huge shift in the military. I was actually stationed in Okinawa at the time, and I had been there maybe a year, less than a year, and that happened. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning there, and there was a typhoon going on also. And I just remember getting a phone call like 2 in the morning, like, hey, get up, we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, turn the TV on. And I'm like, oh man, yeah. And that was like, at that point, I knew where we would end up eventually.
How soon were you deployed to the desert?
Immediately, I wanted to leave Okinawa. I just gotten there like maybe a year, maybe less than a year. The Marine Corps don't do that. They don't play none of that. You want to go, and I get it, but money, it costs money to move families. I had my entire family in Okinawa, Japan for 3.5 years before they let me go. And when I left Okinawa, I went to Hawaii to 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines. And I get there, and maybe within a month, we go to Australia for like 30 or 40 days, which is nice. And then come back, and we're getting ready to deploy, and they're like, all right, you guys going back to Okinawa. So now back in Okinawa again. I'm like, bro, I just left this place. Like, there's a whole war going on. I got friends dying, friends getting injured, and I feel like I'm not doing my part, you know? And,
but it's just the dynamics of a big machine, and ultimately your unit wasn't slated to go.
You can't, you know. But at the same time, it was something that really bothered me a lot, you know, because I just felt like I had been away for too long, and I'm like, and then, so we did the Okinawa deployment.
Prior to 9/11, did you like Okinawa? Did you like being there?
Yeah, if you were a Marine and you hadn't gone to Okinawa prior to 9/11, like, what are you doing with your career? Like, everybody goes to Okinawa. Like, that's the way it was. Now, not so much. You know, you can talk to Marines that have been in 12, 13 years. They never touched foot on Okinawa. It's just different now.
Did your family like it?
Oh, yeah, they loved it. It was a very safe place. One of those places where you can relax and let your kids go outside and play and in the street, and they will be just fine. Like, that's the type of place it was.
Now, you're in your second enlistment on 9/11, correct?
Yes.
And from a career perspective, I know you said you went in, wanted to be infantry. Anything changed in your mindset in the sense of what you want to do differently with your career, or were you still on your trajectory, what you felt you wanted to do?
I was 100% still on that trajectory of what I felt like I wanted to do. For me, infantry that was just it for me. Like, I just,
no point in not being a Marine if you're not going to be in the infantry.
Exactly. Thank you. That's it. Like, what are we doing? You know, and that's not knocking any other, MOS, but I'm just saying, for me, that was very important to me. And, being in the infantry just, kind of gave me the freedom and let me make decisions that, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do. And like, I wanted that responsibility. I felt like I needed it and kind of thrived off of it.
From your family's perspective, so you're in Okinawa, they send you to Hawaii, do a little bit of training for a little bit, but then back to Okinawa. And you've got, like you said, you've got friends who are deploying and losing their lives. Yeah. The flip side, though, from your family's perspective, the longer that you're not actually deploying.
Oh, they're relieved. Yeah.
Does it start impacting, though, you and your, I'll say, desire to really kind of like, hey, I want to get deployed?
Yeah, for me, it was like, I was something that.
Because I can imagine your family start going, all right, hey, we like the fact that you're a Marine, but look at all the guys that are dying.
Yeah.
Maybe you just keep your ass here in Okinawa.
But they didn't understand the mindset, and just like, these guys are like, they're not like, they're family, and your family's dying. You're sitting on an island somewhere in 80-degree tropical weather. Like, no, this ain't it. Same thing when I went to Hawaii. Like, no, like, back to Okinawa. I'm like,
this is not what I want.
No, this is not what I want. But then again, it kind of comes back to that old thing, like, you ask for something enough, then you're going to get what you ask for. And I feel like that's kind of true with me also,
So when you finally did get deployed, was it because you just kept asking enough, or did your unit finally fall into the cycle?
Our unit just fell into the cycle. And we went to Afghanistan maybe a year after we got back from Okinawa. We went to Afghanistan. And so that was my first combat deployment. That was in 2005. And Afghanistan was different. It was just like, growing up in the South, Bible Belt, you can't drive 5 miles without seeing 3 or 4 churches, So, for me, that whole thing, I don't even remember what was I saying?
You were just talking about Afghanistan, how different it was.
Oh, yeah. So this is the point. So growing up in the South, Bible Belt everywhere, we grew up in the churches. So as soon as I get to Afghanistan, in my mind, I'm like, man, this is what it was like when Jesus was around. Like, that is the type of vibe and environment that you see. People still living in like clay houses, like packed with rocks and all kinds of other stuff that's been standing for hundreds of years. They still, generations of families live in these places. So it's just wide open. They do have cities, but they're kind of sparse. Not like that wasn't a terrible deployment. As far as like, I'm not talking about the loss. I'm talking about the actual combat itself. It wasn't like, it was super intense at that time, but it wasn't anything on the level of what, I would end up dealing with, like, in the future. But I learned a lot from that deployment.
How long was that deployment?
I think it was 8 months.
Did you experience the Afghanistan winters?
I
think that's one of the things.
I don't think so.
For a lot of people, you think the Middle East and the desert, and then you get to Afghanistan and how cold it can get.
Let me tell you about Afghanistan. That is probably the hottest place I've ever been in my life. Like during the day, 120 degree temperatures, and I'm not exaggerating. 120 degree temperature, it can reach during the day, and then at night it dropped down to like the 30s. And you're like, what is going on right now? What are we doing? Yeah, it gets pretty wild.
So that, per se, that deployment, rather tame, so to speak, just kind of generic?
It wasn't tame. I mean, I got in my first firefight in Afghanistan. It wasn't like, so, what's the operation called? Red Wings. We did Operation Red Wings. You heard about with all of the lone survivor thing. That was an RAO where all of that stuff happened. But as much stuff as you hear about happening there, it wasn't just like constant, going. That was Iraq. That was just a whole different beast.
The Operation Red Wings operation, in that sense, were you guys sent in as the QRF?
Yes, we were supposed to. Yeah. So originally, and this information's out there, so it's not anything. But originally the mission was supposed to be our mission, the battalion's mission. And, we had like a pretty good amount of people slated to go and do that. And they took it over and did it with like, I don't remember how many people. It's just like 7 or 8 people or something. And that's why everything that ain't why, but that's partly the reason why everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
Coming back out of that deployment, back to Okinawa?
No. To Hawaii, back to Hawaii. I'm stationed in Hawaii.
Okay. And then, so when they stationed you in Hawaii, but then back to Okinawa just to train it?
That's a deployment. So I'm there for like 7 months. Yeah. It's like you're punishing me. Like, what did I do? I've done everything the Marine Corps is asking me, and you guys are just messing with me.
Coming out of that first deployment, though, you've now served. You've now been in combat. You've now
my first
fulfilled, combat. So to speak, what you thought being a Marine was.
Yeah.
Any change in you in the sense of maybe I don't need to do a career, maybe I don't need to go back and deploy again? Or was that still a drive for you?
No, 100% still a drive for me. As a matter of fact, I had orders after Afghanistan. I had orders to be a drill instructor, that was kind of something I've always wanted to do, but I was kind of looking at a couple of different routes. But I actually had orders to the drill field after Afghanistan, and I delayed those orders until after the Iraq deployment, because I'm like, my boys I'm not going to send them to Iraq and I'm on the drill field. Like, no, I missed this already. Like, I'm going to Iraq. And that's why they extended me for the Iraq deployment.
So was the Iraq deployment already on the calendar? You could already see. It
was on the calendar for the unit, yes.
So you knew when you were going to redeploy, and you're like, hey, let me push off going to the drill field to go for that deployment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so when did you end up in Iraq?
I don't know what day I made it there, but I can tell you what day I left. I left Hawaii on September 11, 2006. That's the day we left. Maybe, I don't remember when we got there. Maybe a few days after that with all the transitioning, but yeah, that was an interesting, that whole Iraq thing was just different.
In what sense?
I think it was super intense. Those guys get on the gas and they don't let off. I love that, because we do the same thing. Like, if you want to do that, then Hey, man, we built for this. Like, let's do it. Except, you bring 5 guys or 10 guys, we're going to triple that number with what we bring. With bigger weapons. But we're okay with that. But, yeah, Iraq was constant. Go, go, go.
Was it one of those things where I'm sure you were getting reports of what it was like, but it exceeded what you even thought it was going to be like?
100%, yes. I did not think things could constantly be as bad as it was. We were in Haditha, and at that time, we were a year removed from the Haditha massacre, and so that unit had left, and then another unit came in behind them, and then we were the unit that was there at that time. And it was just, that played a part into it also, as far as the violence in the city.
Ever any thoughts or opportunities to go towards any of the specialized units like MARSOC or anything like that?
No, you know what? I only say this kind of stuff right here, what I'm about to say, I only say it like normally around my friends, me and Wally and a couple other guys. But so, when I was younger, for me, recon was like a big thing, and we talk a bunch of crap about recon, the infantry guys, whatever. I'm like, I can do everything they're doing except one thing. It's swimming. All right, I don't know what it is with black people and swimming and all this stuff. Like, my recruiter never told me going to boot camp that I was going to have to do swim qual. Literally, I was knocking everything out the park up to that point. We go into this pool. I'm like, what is this? Why is there a pool? We having pool day or what?
Gonna go play.
Man, oh my God, that was so terrible. And then so I did learn how to swim better. You
learned how to survive.
Marine Corps standards, and I got up to like 2nd class swim qual. It starts at like 4th at that time, and I was like, I don't, even if I could maybe pass it without drowning, like, this ain't something I want to do all the time. I don't want to be doing this water and all this stuff. Like, I'm just gonna stay with the grunts. I'm good.
Was it during that first Iraq deployment that when you got injured?
Yes.
You want to talk about how that happened?
Yeah. So
when you look forward to that first cup of coffee, as soon as that morning alarm goes off, then Blue Line Roasting is the choice for you. They're a Tennessee-based law enforcement-owned company. They're roasting small batches of premium coffee, fresh, within 48 hours of your ordering, and ship fast so it doesn't sit around getting stale. From Patriot, their light roast, to Failure Drill, their dark roast. They've got something that fits whatever you prefer. Whole bean or ground, it's your call. But Blue Line Roasting is more than just good coffee. A portion of every purchase goes to support law enforcement families who are dealing with line of duty injury or loss. So your morning routine becomes something bigger. Great coffee and real impact. Grab a single bag, try a sampler, or set up a subscription so you're never caught without it. Shipping is always free. And for the listeners of this podcast, use the promo code TRANSITION10 to get 10% off your order. Head on over to bluelineroasting.com and make your morning count.
We were going out this is on November 14th. So this is actually my second injury. I got injured. The first injury was October the 16th, like less than a month prior to that. There's an IED, lost consciousness, had some cuts, and it wasn't anything that was like a big deal for me, because I was literally right back out like the very next day. And then November the 14th come.
When that one hit, were you in a vehicle or on foot?
I was in a vehicle. So I was the QRF platoon sergeant. So basically anything that happened in the city, like if somebody got injured and they had to be medevac, if somebody got in a firefight, like one of our units out getting a firefight, like, so we were always out. And Yeah, so on this day, we are getting ready to go out to do a bridge assessment. And we get out there and we're getting, low pot shots and different stuff like the entire time. And we were out there for like hours. And then we get ready to leave. And so I had this thing. So when I sat in the vehicle, I would always sit in the rear right seat. So always. All my guys knew, like, hey, that's Staff Sergeant seat right there. And I did that day as normal. And I remember we were getting ready to leave, and I look back behind us across the river, and I see like just a crowd of people. They had been there for like 30 or 40 minutes, which was super unusual because they kind of stayed away from us when they see us because they know we could, somebody could engage us, all kinds of stuff could happen. And I remember we were leaving out, and I told my driver, which was Brown, Lance Corporal Brown. I said, stop the vehicle, because we had a unit on foot in front of us patrolling back up. They were all basically getting back into the vehicles and stuff. I said, stop the vehicle right now. Just give them some space just in case we get hit by an IED. Like, I don't even know why I said that. It was just because everything felt so weird. Like, I knew that environment. I knew how, and I'm just like, everything about this is just super unusual. So we stop. He stops the vehicle, and there's 4 of us in the vehicle total at that time. There's Brown, Timothy Brown. He's the driver. Then you got Michael Scholl. He's the gunner. So he's sitting on a sling behind a machine gun. And then we have Mario Gonzalez, and he's the vehicle commander, one of the guys that work with me. And so the vehicle stopped. Guys start moving forward. And then I'm just like, all right, let's go ahead and start moving. And I told Scholl, I'm like, if you get any weird vibe from that crowd, like, you got to figure out what decision you need to make because, like, everything was just super, super weird. But anyway, we started moving. And this is all on video, too, by the way. Not the conversation, but. So we started moving, and.
Is it because one of your team has got a GoPro? I mean, how's it?
No. They recorded it and uploaded it.
Got it.
At that time, yeah.
Got it.
So we started moving, and maybe like, 5 seconds after we started moving, I just, boom, like I feel it like through my entire body. I know exactly what it is because I just got hit by another IED, less than a month prior to that. And, I'm just like, my ears are ringing. I smell like oil and smoke from the vehicle. I can hear the rounds like popping off, just all this stuff going on around me, but I can't see anything. And I feel like hands on me. And it's like, it's my company commander. He's still in. He put hands on me. He's like, hey, he's like, you all right, Staff Sergeant? And I was just like moaning, like, if you just, something big happened, and you just took a headshot or whatever. And then I eventually started talking, and I'm just like, I couldn't see anything. I told him that. So he took off my safety glasses. He poured water in my eyes. And at the same time, they're putting like tourniquets, on my leg, one on my arm. And once my wits kind of cleared up, and like, hey, where's the other guys? Are the other guys good? They're like, yeah, the guys are good. We got to get you. I'm still in the vehicle at this point. We have to get you out of this vehicle. Okay. That took, I don't know the real time, but to me, it felt like it took him at least maybe 10 minutes to get me out because that vehicle was just So I was in the rear right seat. The front of the vehicle was gone. There was nothing to my left. Literally, I'm still in the seat with my seatbelt on, and the vehicle's upside down in the IED hole. So I'm just kind of hanging over the, and every time they try to get pressure off to cut the seatbelt, because I was the only one that had my seatbelt on, I was feeling my ribs, and it would just hurt. And finally, Tracy, who was Captain Tracy at the time, he's like, hey, this is going to hurt. Like, we have to do this. We have to get you out of here. And I'm just like, just do what you got to do. And they just had like 2 or 3 guys like push me up as far as they could and just cut that thing. They get me out. And then they put me on a stretcher and they're working on me. They get me on a tank. The last guy who was in that patrol that was on foot in front of us, he got blown in the air, landed on his head, right? Got a concussion. And they put him on the tank. They ended up putting me on a tank. That was literally the only thing they had, because we were still taking gunfire and all kinds of stuff. And they put him on the tank with me, and they're like, hey, make sure he doesn't go to sleep, Because for me, I felt like it's like, even at that time, it kind of took me back to the movies. Like when somebody gets shot or get hurt real bad, and somebody's holding them like, oh, stay with me. Just kind of slap them, don't close your eyes. Like, and I kind of chuckled because I'm like, oh man, that's really true. Because I had like this overwhelming feeling to just close my eyes and just let go. And I really believe that if I would have done that, then, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. And,
I'd imagine everything hurts at this point in time, but is there anything that No,
nothing hurts, actually. Once they take me out of that vehicle, it's like I got a refresh. Like I felt like, maybe I was 100% prior to getting injured. I felt like now I'm at 110. It was shocking. But I felt great. Like, really. I'm like, hey, make sure you when you guys get that leg, make sure you put it on the tank. They can get that put back on, and then tomorrow I'll be back out. In my mind, that made perfect sense. They were just like,
a little duct tape and greasy glue, I'll be good to go.
That's right. They was like, okay. And so while I'm on this tank.
So you are aware at this point in time, though, that your leg has been severed?
I am, but 100%, yes. But my mind is just not comprehending it, the like how serious it is. So I'm on, and I'm laying there, and I just feel this overwhelming feeling to just close my eyes and just sleep, just let it go. And I always equate that to kind of like standing on the edge of a cliff with your toes hanging over, metaphorically. And, it's so easy to just take that step and just let go. Or you can step back, and then you have to deal with all the pain, all the reality, and everything. And up to that point, I wasn't dealing with pain, believe it or not. I felt great. And then we started moving, and I heard one of the guys say, hey, make sure you don't tell them that the other 3 guys, they passed away. And that was like reality. Just dropped on me like a heavy weight on my chest. And immediately I felt everything. My leg felt like it was on fire. Arms, just pain. I couldn't hardly breathe. It was just, And,
so basically, did the initial blast hit the left front of the?
Hit the center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the only thing that was preserved from that, mostly on the left center, was just my section of the vehicle. The rear right section still seatbelted in.
And the only reason why you stayed in the vehicle is because you were seatbelted in. Yeah. More than likely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was just out of habit because it wasn't, at that point, it wasn't a mandatory thing that you have to do as far as the seatbelts. But growing up, in Arkansas, my mom was always seatbelt. She just ingrain that into my head. So that carry forward, you know.
Where did the initial desire to sit in the rear right seat come from?
I don't really remember.
Because I would imagine it gives you a little bit of a blocked perspective on what's going on around you, as opposed to if you were in the right front seat.
No, and that would be the issue. So, you know, I'm the platoon sergeant, right? You have vehicle commanders in each one of those vehicles. There's one of my guys that's in charge of those guys in the vehicle. I ride in one of those vehicles. That's my same vehicle that I always ride in with those guys. But tactically and all that stuff, like there's not much that I would say. I let them do their job.
Got it.
Now, if I felt like things were kind of, you know, things could be done in a little safer manner or whatever, like on the spot, then I'll step in and I'll say something. Or I feel like he could use some help if we're in a firefight and, you know, maybe a little more command and control on the right side or whatever. Either I yell at him and tell him, or I'll just take care of it and let him know. But generally, I'll let those guys, like, that's yours, bro. You do it.
Got it. Now, you said you were on your way to check out a bridge when this happened, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How far from base were you, and did you have to ride all the way back on a tank?
No. So we were maybe 4 or 5 miles from the base. But it would have been more dangerous to try to get me back to the base than what they did, which was basically they took one of the tanks, because it was 2 tanks together. They took one of the tanks and they made basically what's called a landing zone, LZ. They made one out there and they got me medevac off of the LZ. Named LZ Wilson too, by the way. His name out there.
Not something you want named after you.
No. No.
And you're immediately flown to where?
Balad, which is in Iraq. That's my first stop.
And their job there is probably just to try to stabilize you, right?
Yeah. Yes, I would say so. So this is so once I was on the tank, I remember, you know, once I found out the guys had passed away, I remember asking, like, look, you got to give me something for pain, doc. Like, my leg felt like it was literally on fire. And he was like, I can't do that, because if I do, then you're probably going to go in shock and die. So literally, I just dealt with that pain. And it wasn't even so much the pain that was it was just the idea that those 3 guys were just there, we were just talking, and now they're gone. Yeah. One of them's got, you know, Michael Scholl, he's got young wife, young daughter that was born while we were in Iraq, you know, and the other 2 guys weren't married, Gonzalez or Brown, but they're young. It's just, I don't know. I just think that whole situation, it was just terrible. It took a lot out of me, not at that time, but like later on down the road, it all came back.
Well, and I'm no psychologist, but I would imagine, yeah, there's the physical aspect, the physical pain that you're dealing with, but the emotional, the head and the heart pain of knowing the men that you served with, you know, had lost their lives. That's kind of something. There is no morphine for that in that immediate moment, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And it just compounds everything else you're dealing with.
Yep, it does. And I think, and then once I get off of that, because I'm begging them, just give me something for pain, like, and they get me to the LZ. I see the helicopter come in, or I hear it, and then the Air Force guys are just standing over me at that point, and now they're just, next thing you know, like, everything is going dark. Like, they put me out, and those guys, they do not mess around. Like, they work. Get me to Balad. Get there, go into surgery. Then they put me on the phone at surgery. And I'm like, I think I called my wife at the time, ex-wife now. I called her and I was like, I said, yeah, they let me smoke weed here. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah. They took my leg too. Like, I was just so jacked up. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Why would you give me a pound? Like, and just say, oh, you free to say what you want to say.
Person's 5,000 miles away. Like, what the hell?
Like,
can't do anything.
Well, yeah. She's like, well, at least he's talking, you know? And so after Balad, I was only there for like maybe a day and a half. Then on to Germany. I don't remember anything of Germany except being on the runway as we're getting ready to leave Germany to come back to the States. When I kind of regained consciousness from all the surgeries and stuff.
So no actual extended time in Germany?
None at all, no. It was very fast. Like, I was injured November the 14th. I think I was back at Bethesda probably about maybe 3-4 days later max. Like, yeah.
When was the first time you were told by a doctor or staff that the leg was not repairable?
They find it and put it back on. No, So initially, I get to Bethesda, right, in Maryland, and for me, I'm so drugged up. All these traumatic injuries. The only thing I remember, the last thing that I remember was being in that vehicle and getting blown up. Now I'm waking up, now I'm in this hospital. I'm fully conscious now, and I'm just like confused. Because of all the medications and just everything surrounding, like, I don't know what they called it. My doctor talked to me about it like afterwards, but basically it causes like, basically you have like, you see things that aren't there. You hearing things. Like, that's the type of stuff I was going through that initial 3 or 4 days. And I was like, am I going crazy? I'm like,
almost like is it a psychosis from all the meds that they have you on?
Yeah. And I didn't know it.
Combined with your body fighting off the pain.
Yeah, it's just a lot of factors there. And for me, it was so real. And it was just, holy cow, that was the hardest time. That was the hardest time that I've had mentally, was getting through that. And it was a very short period of time, but it's nothing that I've ever experienced.
Stupid question. Obviously, the leg is gone, and we'll deal with that. What else are you dealing with? Any like other major broken bones and stuff like that?
Yeah. So initially when I was injured, my left leg was right above the boot, almost is where it was blown off at. My right femur was broken. My right tib and fib was broken. Most of the bones in my right ankle were broken. Both my left and right arm, my ulnar broken. I have a titanium plate in each forearm. Fractured 6 vertebrae in my back. Broke 6 ribs. Punctured a lung. Just cuts and burns and pretty bad break on my left hand. Obviously, the left side got it much worse than the right, but yeah.
Now, one of the things that I've heard with a lot of military members who hit that aspect of losing a limb is the dirt, the air, whatever they're around out there, and all the infection that immediately sets in. Yeah. Did you deal with that also?
I did not. And I got to tell you, it was happening all around me. And well, you know what? Let me take that back. Because initially, my amputation was, after the initial blast, the first amputation they did was called a knee dysartic. So it's basically through the knee. And it wouldn't heal. Now, first they did the below knee. And I got like the infection. Then they cut it through the knee. Then through the knee, it wouldn't heal the way that I wanted it to. And then it was like, well, we can do skin grafts. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, what's the difference between above knee and knee disarticulation? Like, basically nothing. So I'm like, all right, cut it above the knee. That's what they did. I haven't had zero issues.
But was that initial infection because of exposure to what?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I don't know what it is there. And it was pretty frequent at that time. Like when you would first come back after an injury, you were in like an isolation room. People wanted to see you. They had to wear, the whole thing from the top to the bottom. Because that infection killed a lot of guys who made it off the battlefield.
Now, after the surgeries, you're at Bethesda. Is that where you're staying for the duration of your recuperation, or where'd they move you to?
No, so I was at Bethesda maybe, I'm going to say, so I got injured November 14th. So I was at Bethesda, I'm going to say about a week. So Bethesda at the time is where they would, all the injured, the severely injured Marines and Navy guys would always go through Bethesda. And then from Bethesda, they shoot you to, whatever facility you needed to go to. For me, after Bethesda, I was an amputee. You automatically go to Walter Reed. Then from Walter Reed, once they get you stabilized and all that stuff, then you can decide if you want to go. They were trying to get me to go to San Antonio to, can't remember the place. But they got a big amputee center out there also. And I decided to stay at Walter Reed. I'm like, this is the cutting edge of where everything happens with amputations. These physical therapists got more experience than anybody else in the world with this. For my age group, I'm like, this is where I want to be. And that's where I stayed.
How long did you end up being there?
So I got out of the hospital. I think December, like Christmas Eve, I got out of the hospital. So, I was injured November 14th. Here it is, Christmas Eve. And I remember my occupational therapist, he comes in the room, and my mom is in there, my ex-wife, and he's like, hey, because I didn't want to do the I can't remember what they call them. I'm just going to say transitions, from the wheelchair to the bed to the wheelchair. You have to do certain things before they let you out of the hospital. And it's already like December 23rd or December 24th, and he's basically trying to threaten me. He's like, hey, if you don't do these, then you're going to be spending Christmas in the hospital. And I looked at him and I was like, do you really think I care if I spend Christmas? Like, what difference does it make if I spend it here or 300 feet away in a hotel room for injured guys? Like, I don't care, bro, at all. I'm like, you have to come with some better motivation than that. Like, yeah. But I ended up doing it and got out December the 24th, Christmas Eve. And then I get to my room. I remember my mom was in there. And I'm transitioning from the wheelchair to the bed. And I fell. Exactly what he said. But it was like a sorry fall. But I remember I just laid there and like cried, like, because I felt so, I don't know, like, I can't even, So that was like, it's kind of,
take your time.
for me, up until that point, like it was probably like the weakest that I'd ever felt. And I didn't really see like a way forward.
What were the people around you saying from like the doctor's perspective, the Marine Corps perspective? I mean, because we're obviously you finished out your career, but what I'm getting at is those initial days are people basically telling you you're done?
No, not at all. It was we weren't really super focused on that. It was just, I coded a couple times. Like, I was going through it. And when that incident happened, like, that just helped me. I'm like, this is as weak as I've ever been, like, physically. And I just have to, like, that's the point that I realized, like, I wanted nothing more than just work my ass off and get back in the uniform. And that was it for me. That was when, like, I started focusing on that.
It's kind of odd, but, the doctor was trying to motivate you by, hey, you need Christmas. Using like that as the carrot, but it sounds like more you needed to feel the bottom before you realized that there was a way to climb to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I've gone through so many things like since that time, but nothing like that moment like hit me like that. And like, I think that's just kind of made me into the person I am, Like, I'm not going to accept, like, nobody's going to tell me what I can't do, so I just kind of take that attitude and I just use it.
Where'd you go from there? Because this was like almost call it like a step down hospital or a hotel. Like, you're going to be transitioning somewhere else, correct?
No, this is like where this is where most of the injured guys will go.
So you basically live in this hotel while you're going through the remainder of your rehab process?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And, me and my wife at the time, we were already, even prior to my deployment, we were already talking about, getting divorced and all this stuff. So that wasn't really working. And nothing changed, after I got injured. Just the injuries kind of delayed everything for a while, and then it just same thing. So, at one point, maybe 4 or 5 months after I got injured, I think, when I'm going through rehab, she's up, and she decides she want to leave, so she leaves, and it's just me and all 3 kids. Literally, I'm still in a wheelchair. I can't even take care of myself. And, we got through that and doing physical therapy, make sure they get to school. It's a lot during that time.
How soon do you get fitted with a prosthetic?
So maybe like, it wasn't until after New Year. Maybe the first week after New Year. I remember talking to my physical therapist, and I'm like, Bob, I said, if you give me this prosthetic, this is on a Friday. I'm like, give me this prosthetic, Monday I'll be walking in this thing. I really believed it. He was like.
When it comes to sunglasses, first responders and military members definitely don't baby them. They get dropped, thrown in a utility pocket, or tossed in gear bags. Frontline Optics was created for that reality. You get premium eye protection without paying designer brand prices for something that won't survive your lifestyle. From polarized UV 400 lenses to anti-reflective coatings and water repellent finish. And here's where Frontline Optics separates themselves from the pack. When life happens and your glasses break, they offer a no questions asked replacement program, even for prescription lenses. On top of that, Frontline Optics was founded by a firefighter, and a portion of every purchase goes to support the First Responders Children's Foundation, helping families of those who gave everything. So if you're looking for sunglasses that look good and come from a company that actually understands the job, visit frontlineoptics.com and use the promo code TRANSITION10 to get 10% off your purchase. Frontline Optics, from a first responder for the front lines.
He's like, Marcus. He's like, we'll wait. Sorry.
If I had $1 for every time I heard somebody tell me that.
Yeah. I really felt it. And then, at Monday when I came back in and we started walking, I'm like, oh man, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be at all. Just different, especially when it's something you're not used to at all.
Nowhere near, but I just think of, what immediately, for whatever reason, comes to my mind is the couple times that I remember as a kid trying to get up on stilts. It's got to be just completely foreign to have not your leg supporting you.
Yep. And it's, I started physical therapy, like rehab with my prosthetic, maybe January of 2007. And, I put in the work to be able to walk and do everything that I felt like I needed to do. And that was the hardest thing for me was falling initially. Because they teach you how to fall. It's like you have to fall a certain way. You got the one leg, you got to protect it. And I just remember how scary that was anytime I would fall. But then once I get down on the ground, I'm like, man, that was the sorriest, because the knee will slow it down. It's not just gonna drop. It's gonna literally just kind of just let you down slow and give you a chance to recover even before you fall. So, that was the scariest thing, was falling and walking downstairs initially.
Now, is your motivation at this point, I'm just going to walk again, or are you, what I'm getting at is, when does the shift happen? They're like, I'm getting back to active duty.
Yeah. So once, I told you about the fall, and shortly after that, I knew I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to do everything I got to do. And from that point forward, it was just refocusing on getting back in the uniform and getting back to work.
How long did that process take?
So I was injured November 14th, 06. I got orders to Camp Pendleton in the beginning of 2010.
Okay.
So, it's kind of a gap in between that you're not, it wasn't all just physical therapy, occupational therapy for those 3 years. I had 48 surgeries in between. I'm talking about from the time I got to Bethesda and Walter Reed, I had 48 surgeries in between that. So every time it would kind of set me back a little, not all the way, but just a little bit. And then I work harder, blah, blah, blah.
Were all 48 related to the leg, or a lot of other?
No, just different things. Hand.
Got it.
Never on the leg.
Oh, okay.
On my right leg, I've had, ACL, PCL surgeries, testing out prosthetics that are we had this one prosthetic called the Power Knee. And that thing sounded like RoboCop when you were walking. It was super loud. It was super heavy, but it was so my prosthetic I have now is trying to think of the word. It doesn't work without me causing it to, the knee won't bend or move unless I do it with my hip is how I control it. Passive. It's called passive knee.
Got it.
So, this power knee is called an active knee, and that thing goes. You could hurt somebody with that thing. I bet you can kick a door in, or police can use it, if they get a amputee on their force. Bro, we're going to get you the power knee. You the door kicker, the official door kicker. But I'm walking through the mall with that thing. And like I said, you walk, it's so terrible. But this is 2007, and all of a sudden it just went crazy, and it spin me. It made me spin, and when that happened, literally tore my ACL, my PCL. And they sent me to West Point to get it repaired. Haven't had any issues since then. That's been years and years and years ago. They really took care of me out there.
But ultimately, a 3-year process to get back to
between all the surgeries and physical therapies, and yes.
Now, when you went back to active duty, was your desire to go back to Pendleton or back to Okinawa, back to...
My desire was to go back to a grunt unit so I could go back to combat again. My mom lost her mind when I told her that. So, and then I had my kids. It was just a whole thing. So,
at that time, did you personally know any other Marines who had redeployed with a prosthetic?
Yes. And that wasn't my motivation, but I was like, I can do it. Mm-hmm. Up to that point, physically, I felt like I could do almost anything anybody else could do. I wasn't going to outrun you, but, but,
well, with that bionic knee.
Oh my goodness. No, got rid of that thing. But, and that was an older version. I'm not knocking Power Knee. They got a great version out now, but back in 2007, I think it was something else. But yeah, I think I really wanted to go back to combat. Like that was my goal after, once I got the green light saying, hey, you can do whatever literally the commandant of the Marine Corps said, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm like, okay, I want to continue. I want to keep my MOS. I want to continue to be a grunt. He's like, okay. And I want to be able to go back to the grunt units and be worldwide deployable. He was like, okay. And that's what it was,
So where'd you end up back at?
I ended up back at Pendleton, at School of Infantry. I was a gunny when I first got there. I was the operations chief for the School of Infantry, not School of Infantry, but the infantry for the students. I can't remember what it's called, but for the students, that course, I was the operations chief. So, anything logistically for ammunition, ranges, all that type of stuff was, Then I picked up first sergeant, and I went to one of the companies, the hotel company, as a first sergeant. Then I transitioned to a different company, Infantry Unit Leaders Training Company, which I absolutely loved that job. And then, towards that, maybe like a year out, I put in my retirement paperwork. I was like, I love this unit I'm with. I love everything that's happening right now. Like, this is how I want to go. And I knew that would put me at 21 years. So I was like, it's time. Pack up my bag. It's time to take my ball and go home. And I was okay with that at that time.
No interest or desire to stay even longer?
Kind of, but no. Like, because of everything that I had gone through, like, I felt like at that point that I wanted to do something different. And what that was, I had no idea. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I just want to do, because, basically I've been a Marine since I was 17 years old, just turning 18. So I'm like, I want to do, now I'm 38, about to turn 39. I'm like, oh man, like, what am I going to do? Like, you can do whatever you want to do, Marcus. And I slept for like a year. I stayed in bed for like a year, depressed as hell. Didn't even realize I was depressed. Thought I was just, no energy, tired all the time.
This is after getting out, or?
Yes, after I retired. Yeah, I went through that for like a year. And that was a hard period in my life too. Literally I would do everything from bed. Like sleep, well, I should sleep, but eat, watch TV, just rarely ever got up, And my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she's my wife now. She's like, Marky's like, you can't keep this up. She's like, this is going to end like very, very bad. And I don't know if you realize how deep you've gone, but, and that kind of opened my eyes up. And I went back. After that, I went to the Veterans Center. Started going to group there, just talking and being around,
Had anything been hitting you prior to getting out, or was it more the fact of you were now out and no longer a Marine that hit you?
That's exactly what it was. The fact that I was out, and then at that point, like, you kind of get to a point where, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm kind of worthless. Like, I felt like I had a mission. I had something to focus on. And obviously I got my family, but I'm not, like, mentally, I'm just not 100% there, like, thinking that way.
Did you have anything lined up when you were coming out as far as work or anything at all?
No, I knew 100% I did not want to work. I'm like, no, I'm not working. Like, because for me, it would benefit me more to be retired after that period than to continue to work. Meaning that I would lose
benefits or
money and benefits. Yeah. Potentially. So I'm like, no, I didn't know what I wanted to do at all.
But you're too young to just sit around the house and do nothing.
Yep. Yep. And that took me a while, and then my wife talked to, like a mutual friend that we have, and her husband, he went out on like this, I think it was an alligator hunt or something. And so he asked me if I wanted to go. I'm like, yeah, man. He reached out to the guy who owns the organization. He got in contact with me. It's Wounded Warrior Outdoors. And I've been, this was, I retired in 15. So this was probably like 2016 or 17. And like literally that first trip I went out on alligator hunt, like I've been going since that point. Transitioned from being a part of the program, like, as in participating in the program and going through it, to actually running people through programs, So we take guys fishing in Alaska. We do like 3 trips a year to Alaska. We do a bear hunting trip in Canada. We do all kinds of stuff. And I love it, seeing a guy's face transition. First they get around all these new people. Everybody's all unsure and weird. And then those walls just start coming down, and familiarity, and, it's always a good thing.
So it's all veterans only?
No, we brought out first responders also, but primarily for Wounded Warrior Outdoors is veterans, post 9/11 veterans. We brought out men and women all over North America, from bison to deer to gator to you name it.
Outside of the hunting, though, from you personally in that headspace, what are you doing for yourself?
Well, I from 2016, I guess, I started going to the Veterans Center, doing the group counseling there, and I did that up until COVID. Then they wanted to do some online stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Because by that time I felt like, and I'm not saying I'm like 100% anything, but I felt like I got a good start there. And now, to help build a good, like, healthy mental foundation. And that helped me to just kind of keep pushing on. I know if I have issues, like, I know I got people I can talk to. Like, I'm not just, keeping everything in like I used to. Because for me, it was like I'm a man, bro. Like, any issues I got, I'm going to keep to myself. Like, that's the way I used to think. And you can only take so much of that, like, doing that to yourself and not being able to get it out in, like, a healthy way. So it took me a while to figure that out.
Yeah, we've effectively proven that's a crappy ass way to live your life.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
The perception that we're weak because we asked for help has been proven completely wrong.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. And I've been a huge advocate for, mental health and talking to people and talking to friends, and talking to family. I know a lot of guys that have taken their lives, and it's just a terrible thing for the families to have to go through. And then even for the torture that these guys and girls feel like that they're going through. Imagine like you get to that point to where you feel like this is my only answer. And you got potentially beautiful kids, beautiful wife, parents who love you, but you're at that place where you feel like none of that matters, like this, And I feel like, with the hunting and fishing thing, for me, like that's a route for me to kind of push things, and it's something that I've just came to love. Like I absolutely love it. I'll climb a mountain and shoot the right thing. I will. I'll put every piece of effort into it, And I've done marathons. I've done hikes. I've done all kinds of stuff, and I just try to do what I can to just physically show up and just like if I'm here doing this, like what excuse do you have, You
have anything on your bucket list for the future that's still out there for you?
I do. I want to shoot one of the rams, one of the bighorn sheep. Like that's on my list. That's a huge thing. Marco Polo sheep, they got them in Canada. I would love to shoot a Marco Polo. Kind of out of my price range. Probably about $108,000 right now. So maybe it'll go back down, get down within like the $500, $1,000 range, and then I'll be able to get it. No, that's not gonna happen. But sheep,
is that just the cost of the tag?
Sheep, yes. That's because you have to have an outfitter and all that stuff. You're gonna end up over $100,000, $90,000 for a guaranteed tag with an outfitter. Wow. Yeah, for that specific type of sheep.
And is it because there's so few of them, or what jacks up the price?
There's not like a lot of them, and they're very challenging to hunt, and they don't release like a lot of tags every year. And it's kind of a big thing to get the finesse, like to get all different types of sheep species. I don't have any yet, but I get all kind of other stuff though, so I'm okay.
Now, is Wounded Warrior Outdoor, are they affiliated with the Wounded Warrior Project, or they're their own?
No, not at all.
And where are they based out of?
They're based out of Florida. Our founder, Ron Mabood, he founded Wounded Warrior Outdoors. And I was fortunate enough to meet him before he passed away, but he founded Wounded Warrior Outdoors. He started, I think, back in 2006 or 7, pretty early on, actually. And he would just take guys like on a bear hunt to Canada. That was the first thing that we started doing. And I didn't run into Ron until 2016 is when I met him. And, from 2016, from that point to 2016, huge leaps and bounds made, transitions. But Ron was literally doing all this, one person doing everything on his own. I come in 2016 to the program. By 2017, 18, I'm like running trips and putting guys on trips. And then Ron retired in 2020 or 19. Found out he has brain cancer, terminal. Passed away like a year after that. And we've just been keeping his dream going and keeping everything going. I love it. It gives me so much joy and like peace on the inside just to be able to feel like I'm giving back to the veteran community.
For people who come out or get affiliated with the group, how many hunts a year can they go on? Or how many hunts do you plan for a year?
So they can go on one event per year, one hunt or fishing trip per year. And we do maybe 15 different events a year between fishing, hunting. We do one fundraiser that we do a year.
For you, as far as long-term with a prosthetic, what's the future hold? Is it something where there will never be any more surgeries or anything related to the prosthetic?
For me, I don't plan on any more surgeries. And, also in my mind, at least, if I lived at 95, 96, I'll still be walking around with my prosthetic on. Now, I don't know that, but it's such an easy thing for me. Like, it's just like putting on a sock and a shoe for you. The same way it is my prosthetic. Like it's just a part of me. It's part of who I am. So when I get up, I just throw my liner on. I just pop right in that thing and I'm gone. Literally, it's like process is about 8 seconds total. Like it's very fast. It's a microprocessor knee. So it's, programmed and ran by all type of stuff. Got different modes on it. I can do all kind of crazy stuff on it. I just love the way the technology has advanced and it's more, user friendly, like real world.
Now, does the VA basically just go, hey, we've got a new one, come get it? Or do you have to ask, hey, is there a new model? I'll jokingly say it's kind of like having your damn iPhone. Is it? As long as it's not working, you don't go to the store, go and give me a new one?
Kinda. But I'll say this, like it doesn't, so you're not going to get like, hardware changes as often as like an iPhone. That'll be like every 5 to 10 years, maybe 5 to 8 years, maybe to where they'll change the hardware, the way it looks. But the software on it, you're constantly getting software updates. You're getting like, it's just like
plug your leg in.
You ain't got to plug in. I can access it. Sorry about that. I can access it from my phone, and I can change the settings from my phone. When I go and I fish in Alaska, I get in that river, I change the setting on it. I put it in water mode. So when I'm walking and the river pushes my knee back, before, and I learned this the hard way, and I went to go take a step and my knee was still bent back and it just bloop right in the water. Oh man, that was the coldest I've ever been in my life. And then, now they got a mode on it, it's a water mode, where literally I just change the setting on my phone and then it'll tell my leg, and then I just get in the water. When I go take a step, it'll bend back. And then when it feels my hip going forward, it's going to push that leg back through and bring it there. So it's there when I step.
So the first version couldn't compensate for the current that was pushing against it.
Because it was passive. So there was no anything that it would do on its own without you initiating it. This one right here is still passive, but it's more like it's got some features on it that it can do. Like it's got a hill mode on it. So when I'm walking up hills and embankments, like it goes into like this weird thing where it'll step on once it senses the angle, it'll step on like the ball of the prosthetic. That's the only part that'll hit the ground as you're walking uphill. And you'll feel it when you touch it with your toe. You'll feel the prosthetic like lift you up. But it's just like a smooth thing that you get used to, and it doesn't become a weird movement.
Well, as we start wrapping this up, any last piece of advice that you want to make sure that somebody hears from you and your story and your experiences?
Yeah, I think mental health, especially in our community, and when I say our community, I'm not talking about just veteran community. I'm talking about veterans, the law enforcement officers, the paramedics, all these men and women deal with these traumatic experiences potentially. And if you don't get help, or if you're not talking to somebody about that, or you feel that weight kind of coming on you, like even if it's just talking to your friend, try to figure out a different, a better path to go. I think mental health is very important. I've seen too many people go down that road, and I've been there. But fortunately, I had people around me that like opened my eyes up, and I was able to come back. But a lot of guys aren't. And I think that's something that, not just like we should be aware of it personally, but, family, friends, they know your personality. They know who you are. They should be able to look and, you see these changes, you have to say something. You see it, you got to say something. Or if not, you're like, no, it'll be okay. The next thing you know, something terrible happens, or it just leads down a deeper path. So mental health, important. Get help. Talk to people if you need it.
That's another aspect, though, that when I talk about how we've effectively proven that the shoving everything down and just dealing with it doesn't work. Yeah. The other thing is, listen to the people that are around you, because they'll know when you're not normal. What I mean by normal, you're outside of your norm.
Yeah.
Listen to the people who see you every day.
Yeah. 100%.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you.
As always, thank you for listening or watching the episode. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out on social media or send me an email. The links are all in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave me a rating. Ratings do two things. You can tell me what I need to fix or improve, and the more ratings also gets the podcast recommended to more people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. And last, don't forget, sign up for the newsletter.